protecting them. The people who are funded by their tax dollars feel a certain way about them, are joking about committing violence against them.
In a new letter to the Contra Costa County District Attorney, Public Defender Ellen McDonald reveals there's now at least 45 Antioch officers on text chains they call racist, homophobic, and violent against Black people. McDonald also confirms at least 16 of those officers are in leadership roles.
The number of officers involved is so deeply concerning. It raises questions about how this went on for so long, who was complicit, what was the impact on all of not just the cases, but the people who called for help.
Tonight, the Council on American Islamic Relations, San Francisco Bay Area, condemned the recent revelations. Its executive director says she's afraid of reading the messages and the effect they would have on her. Messages like these, exchanged during a stakeout for 4 murder suspects. Officer Eric Rumbaugh texted, "So many Black people." Officer Jonathan Adams replied, "Bro, they all look the same." Rumbaugh responded, "Tell me about it. I feel like I'm at the zoo."
There are people who are sitting behind bars based on the testimony of these officers who are now proven to be incredibly discredited, racist, bigots, acting under the cover of law.
She's not alone in questioning their cases. In the letter from McDonald, he requests the DA immediately dismiss all pending public defender cases involving Antioch PD, release their incarcerated clients, and cease filing any APD-related cases.
If anybody who attempted to do real harm to the community, gets an opportunity to have their case dropped, that's on the hands of these officers.
Antioch Mayor Pro Tem says the latest reports have been shocking to read and is prepared to support a request from the mayor to bring a racial equity audit in the police department. That request will be heard Tuesday during a special city council meeting.
I've been getting a lot of calls, and a lot of people would just like to see every officer named and everybody in leadership who was aware leave the department immediately.
The chief released a statement yesterday apologizing and promising a thorough investigation. We also reached out to the DA's and Public Defender's Office for comment, but it was after hours and we have not heard back yet. But based on the letter from the Public Defender's Office, it looks like both entities will meet on Monday to discuss this issue. I'm Stephanie Magayon. Back.
Greetings and welcome to another powerful edition of the Community Defender Talk Show, one powerful hour of truth, dispelling falsehood. I'm your host, Brother Darrell Muhammad, and we're glad that you have tuned in to tonight's program. I want to, of course, start off by saying Ramadan Mubarak and Assalamu Alaikum to all of the Muslims and others that are fasting in this month of Ramadan. As you know, this is a month, the 9th month on the Arabic calendar, where we strive not to eat or drink during the daylight hours. And this, of course, is designed by Almighty God, Allah, to build our will and to ready us for those challenges throughout the year and those challenges that are ahead for those of us in the Muslim community and those of us who are also fasting, because there are a number of our Christian family that are also going out on this fast with us, and many of them are trying it to see how it works for them, and we know they're going to get great results. Now we're going to be dealing, and we're going to jump right into the topic of they can no longer hide their hatred. They can no longer hide their hatred. And it used to be a time, brothers and sisters, when it took years for things to come out. But nowadays, things come out almost immediately. As you can see with the story that we ran in the beginning of the program to precede our remarks, Antioch, California, where you have 45 officers on a racist thread on text messages. There was something similar that happened in Baton Rouge, something similar in Chicago, something similar in Los Angeles, something just like that in New York, as well as New Iberia right here in this area. So it's a situation to where this is all over the place. And the thing we want to point out to you and make plain to you is that this racism is not isolated. It is pervasive. And a racist police officer is actually in law enforcement. He's not in the minority. He is actually in the majority. And you need to get out of your mind that we have a few bad apples. We do not have on America's police forces a few bad apples. What you have is a 95% bad apple situation, but you may have a few good apples. That's really what we're looking at when you talk about law enforcement. A few good apples, but most bad. And that's what we wanted to lay out. Now, before we get too far, I wanted to mention Vice President Kamala Harris's trip to Africa, where she went to Zambia and she went to Ghana to show forth her foreign policy and develop certain foreign policy credentials. And by her being a person of color, they felt like they would send a person of color to represent white business interests. And that's often what white America does. They will send you and I to represent them, and hopefully our people, by us being like them, they will accept what we represent from white folks. So understand that Vice President Kamala Harris went to Africa and was chosen to go because she was the N-word of the administration. That's why they chose her to go. And when she went there representing the business interests of white people, of white corporate America. And it was no different when Barack Obama went there and brought corporate executives on Air Force One, using the power of the presidency with the backing of the military to force American corporate interests into Africa and giving the African people nothing. Now, here's the thing. Everybody wants to exploit Africa, including China. China is not there for humanitarian interests. But for years, African resources were taken out of Africa, and the African people got absolutely nothing. China is giving a little, but not enough. But when you deal with Europe and America, the African people absolutely get zero. So the African people are looking at a competition between a little bit, which is not enough, and zero for their resources and everything. So that's the thing. And then Kamala Harris says that she wants to, that America wishes to compete. No, right now there is an American-sponsored coup going on right now in the Sudan. Right now. The American embassy is, all of the people are saying they're hunkered down, but you already know that America's hand is in that. And since they could not get the regular government to move, they raised up an opposition force, and now the two are battling for control over that area. And you already know that America throws the rock and hides its hand. Just understand that. They're the ones that fought to have South Sudan with all that oil split off from the Sudan so that they then could exploit the smaller part and actually give less for the oil than they otherwise would have to give the fuller Sudan. So they made a calculator, and they've been working on that and funding the rebels. And now there's still nothing but conflict going on in that area. And when you follow Europeans, when you obey the European people, you wind up having nothing but death and destruction in your country. Now, our sister, Kamala Harris, went over there representing white business interests. But she went over there offering $60 million to protect what they call human rights. Really was the LGBT gay agenda that they have been trying for the past 20 years in earnest to force on the people of Africa. The CIA is working on raising up and funding gay activists because they want to make the African continent as queer as possible. They're forcing indecency or attempting to. Now, the good news is that the Ghanaians as well as the Zambians were very offended when she came in and disrespected the culture of Africa by bringing up this LGBT crap that she brought up, and in the name of human rights. But let me break it down. When you forsake, if you're a man that wants to claim to be a woman, you are forsaking the humanity that God gave you. The humanity that God gifted me with was a masculine humanity, male humanity. I don't have the female humanity. I have the male part of humanity. And I must walk in the nature in which I'm created. I must walk in the humanity that I was gifted with as a black man. You understand? I have to do that. And the same with a woman. So if I was walking around saying that I was George W. Bush, believing I was George W. Bush, trying to sound like I was George W. Bush, y'all would say that boy's gone crazy. They must have got to him. And people would seek to have me committed so that I could be treated for a mental illness because I'm trying to be somebody that I'm not. And there are people who have claimed to be Abe Lincoln. And they get so into the study of Abe Lincoln that they think they're Abe Lincoln, and they literally have to go to a mental facility and be brought back to reality. Whenever you think you're somebody you're not supposed to be encouraged in that. You're supposed to get treatment. If a person born with a vagina thinks that they're a man, you're not supposed to co-sign on that foolishness. You're supposed to put them in treatment and say, no, we're sorry, but you're mentally ill. The same if a person is born with a penis and thinks they're a woman, that person needs to be treated for an identity disorder. They do not need to be encouraged with legislation and all of this other foolishness and a whole movement that everybody's trying to donate to. They don't need to have people to co-sign on foolishness, on something that is not real. Now, this is what she went there to promote: white business interests and a wicked social agenda that America has been trying to put over on to Africa, and Obama even sanctioned the Gambia for not allowing this homosexual agenda, and they literally had to begin to get aid from Saudi Arabia because the Obama administration cut the aid off because they did not want men in their country wearing a bunch of dresses, calling themselves women. And because they wanted decency and self-respect, America sanctioned them because of it. Now, the good news that we have to get to right quick is that Uganda has their parliament unanimously voted to oppose this wicked agenda that America and England and France are pushing or trying to push on Africa. You can get 20 years in Uganda for promoting homosexuality. If you own a place that promotes homosexuality, so if you own a bar that's a gay bar, you're getting 10 years in prison. If you attempt to commit a homosexual act, 10 years in prison. If you do anything called aggravated homosexuality, you get life in prison. And I just want to say, this is not a backward law. This is a sensible law that Africa is choosing for itself what it wants to do, and they're voting on it, and you call it democracy, America. So they voted on it. It was unanimous. We can't get anything unanimous in the U.S. Senate or the House of Representatives, but they were able to unanimously say that they did not want this and that they were going to criminally sanction anybody involved in it. If you try to recruit children into homosexuality, you know all this sex trafficking that they're doing in the Caribbean, that these so-called evangelicals are doing in the Caribbean, you can literally be put to death in some of these countries, and you can get jail time. So all of this is a good development. We are appreciative of the fact that Africa and African people are standing up and not allowing this aspect of Western culture, Western deviation from God's way, to tear down their society. So I wanted to lay that out there for you. We wanted to deal with that right quick. Now, moving right along, I wanted to mention this fitness coach who often trains, who most of the people he trains are black athletes. And I know his video has gone viral. A lot of people have talked about this man named Mark Taylor with this racist rant that he made. But let's go ahead and run that footage if we can, Brother Director.
To an exclusive. We were the first news show to report on this fella. Here it is.
You and boy need to come up here and go hunting. Yeah. And stuff, man. Ain't nothing here, dog. Ain't nothing but blacks up here. All it is, Atlanta gone down, man. Just gone. Look at this pull out in front of me right here. Bro, look at this trying to pull out in front of me right here. Look at this trying to pull out in front of me right here. Hey, did you see that tree right there? Yeah. Did you see that tree right there? Roe will hang you from that tree. Got the Glock by the bed. Here we go. Room service. I need y'all to bring me some chicken wings, 2 hoes, a red bone and a white girl. Yeah, I want the white girl. Roe gonna try the red bone. No, boyfriend ain't coming. Yeah, he was here and everything. He make him leave. He make the red bone leave. Yeah, he don't do that and everything. So I tried that one time in the house. Yeah, just Roe. Yeah, cause he probably do it, and he probably gonna throw her out. We on the 14th floor. He probably throw her out the window when he done with her. Yeah, cheap rate. Atlanta. Town.
Oh, okay. You see, so I'm from Atlanta, so I took all of your racist antics against Atlanta and black people in Atlanta personally. The worst thing in your life would be to have me against you personally. So here's what has happened since the reporting from yesterday. As I said yesterday, I expect schools that you coach at to release statements so we can read them. That's exactly what happened. Parents have also gone on social media, sir, to talk about how you treated their children. You decided to make videos of yourself calling black people the N-word while working with children as their coach. It is so damn sad. You know what a coach is? A coach is the ultimate mentor. I can look back on my own life and see where coaches transformed my thinking, transformed my trajectory. But you decided to be something quite different. Let's go to a mother who talked about how
Well, there you have it. And it was his own words. I think he said a lot of things that were, and I've listened to the footage over and over. And he said a lot of things that were telling, that his friends could come down there and hunt, that Atlanta has turned all black. There's nothing down here. It's worthless because of the presence of black people. Not that anybody was bothering him, but the actual presence of large amounts of black people in a city with some decent infrastructure, that literally upset the man. And then he's working with black athletes all the time. And so this is to underscore the point that we've told you before. Many of you worked with people. Many of you thought you had friends. And there are probably many black people who looked at this coach as a friend, never realizing that this man hated them because of the color of their skin. And so what I'm suggesting is that the idea of this melting pot, we are the world, we are the children, all the races together, is largely a myth. Because in every city I go to, you got white and black neighborhoods. And of course in New Orleans, where I grew up, traditionally you had black neighborhoods, white neighborhoods, and then light neighborhoods. So they had it broken down like that, black, white, and light. And to some degree in Louisiana, that color struck thing, the hair texture thing, is a lot of time embedded in our brain, unfortunately. But his opinion about black folks is not a minority opinion. I want you to understand that. Everybody is focusing on him. There are news stories. White news people are talking about it as if they don't feel the same way. Understand that. People, most of your black leaders, hung out with Trump for years. Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, a lot of the rappers had pictures with Trump. Trump was the man.
Don King.
Everybody like Don King, all of them hung out with Trump until he ran for president and began to say how he really felt openly about a lot of these race issues. But understand, they thought they had a friend in Donald Trump, and then later realized, and so this is something that's all over the place. They can no longer hide their anger now. They don't like you. And this is the majority opinion. And when I say majority, I'm not talking about 51%. I'm talking about probably 99%. And I'm a person that grew up in a predominantly Caucasian neighborhood. I grew up in an environment where the neighbor on this side, the neighbor on that side, the neighbors across the street were white people, white middle-class people. There was a golf course in the subdivision that I grew up in, and so my parents had a little more money, so they moved into a different area. Okay? Now, there were blacks in the neighborhood, but it was not many at that time. Now, I can tell you, growing up, that I had to punch somebody in the face every other week for calling me the N-word. Every time you went outside to play, there was somebody calling you the N-word all the time. And so I had to knock so many people out, stomp them. My sister choked them and pulled them by the hair and slammed them down. I mean, we literally fought all the time in that predominantly white neighborhood. Now, this was children who were our age. Now, keep in mind, all these people who were racist as children grew up into racist adults. That's the point I'm trying to get across to you. And that is why it is futile to believe in this pristine unity of all the races. Understand that Martin Luther King disavowed the I Have a Dream speech before he died. He said it's a nightmare. So don't play that speech in January. The man who gave the speech has disavowed it. and said it's a nightmare. It is not a dream. Understand that. And I understand, and let me just break it down. They did propaganda on us. For those of us who are 45 or older, they did the propaganda thing. They came out with the whole idea of integration. We're going to all be together, integrating schools. Of course, white folks sent their children to private schools. Some of our people were able to follow who had the money, but for the most part, the schools are majority or stayed majority white, the private and the Catholic schools. Now, they came out with a show called Different Strokes. And Different Strokes had this benevolent white millionaire who lived in a penthouse whose mother had died. There were two boys, Willis and Arnold, whose mother had died. Some of y'all remember this show. And the mother had died, the daddy was gone, and he was taking in these two little black boys from Harlem and showing them a better life, right? Different Strokes. Y'all remember it. And so they also came out with a song, Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder, Ebony and Ivory. Y'all remember that song? Live together in perfect harmony, right? Side by side on my piano keyboard, oh Lord, why don't we? So they promoted it in the music. They promoted this idea on screen, and they continuously promoted it. And then there was another show that came on after it, a spinoff called Facts of Life, where you had a girl named Tootie who was going to this well-to-do school, and she was, you know, it was about how she interacted with the white girls and how they just treated her like anyone else and all of this. So they promoted that idea to make you and I believe that it was going down like that when it was not. You understand? There's no rich white man that's going to go to Harlem and pick up two Negroes and raise them like he does his own white daughters. You must be out your mind. Look how they treat you today. You understand? Just think. And the last famous billionaire that lived in a penthouse called Trump, you already know he wasn't going to roll like that. You don't know no millionaire, billionaire living on Park Avenue in a doggone penthouse that's going to go to Harlem and pick up some poor children whose parents have died. No, they're going to vote for the Republican person that is going to throw them in jail and give them long prison sentences. That's all that the rich white folks got for you. Long prison sentences. You understand? And investing in private prisons. Understand that. Now, we move on to Mississippi. Mississippi, the legislature voted to carve out a separate district and appoint judges that are not elected over the people in Mississippi and have a separate police force totally usurping all of the democratic processes that are supposed to be in place. So whenever you rise in power, all these people do is change the doggone rules, and then you right back at square one. It's as if we're in 1960 in Jackson, because the people of Jackson still don't have a vote, still don't have a say-so, because the majority white legislature, racist as they want to be, are taking away this so-called democracy. Go ahead, caller, you on the air with the community defender.
Yes, another powerful show, Brother Darrell, Brother Jay. I wanted to say, too, that right here in New Iberia under Louis Ackle, he had our people being called, the police officers would call them porch monkeys. They would call them niggers. They would call them, what was the TNC call? The TNC call was the typical nigger call. And so it gave the police officers the opportunity, well, let me just take my time. By the time I get there, they'll probably kill each other. That is all over. Even when Chief Glover, who was the best police chief that Lafayette ever had, he listed that there were like 30-something rogue officers. A rogue officer is somebody that don't give a hoot about rules, regulations, and they've done things under the table as always. Keep up the good work, and we highly appreciate you and your family, sir.
Thank you, Queen. I definitely appreciate it. That vote of confidence, we all can use it.
Also, in Brother Darren, in the court transcript against Louis Apple, there was 11 officers recanting the so-called nigger knocking code that they would go out, the specialized units go out nigger knocking.
Yeah, the brother director was reminding us of this infamous concept in New Iberia of so-called nigger knocking, where they go out and harass black people. So this idea is everywhere, whether it's Antioch, California, New Iberia, Louisiana, Baltimore, Maryland. It doesn't matter. The racist sentiment is the majority opinion among those who live with us in America, in this country. Racism and the belief that you are inferior is the majority opinion. Understand that, not the minority. And I'm not talking about a 51 or 52% majority. I'm talking 90 plus percent. People can deny it all they want. If this white man if you would have asked him before this came out, are you a racist? Do you hate people because of color? He would have said, I'm not a racist. I don't have a racist bone in my body. He would have said that. And of course, we have the tapes of others. All you have to do, if you want to know how people are, and some of y'all need to do this. This is what you do. When you're in a meeting at work, or y'all are in some sort of informal conversation about different things, what you do is you set your phone on voice record, sit it on a chair, and just walk out. Just walk out. Stay gone for like 10 minutes. Then come back and say, oh, I forgot my phone. And then listen to what is said on that thing. Boy, it's going to blow your mind. You're going to be like, what? I've been living with these Klansmen? Yeah, you right there with them. You're right there with them. And, in that story of that biblical narrative of Adam and Eve, where it says a serpent came up to Eve and talked to her, serpents don't talk. And what you have to understand is that the Bible says that a serpent talked to her, but it doesn't say that Eve recognized the serpent as a serpent. It just says the serpent told her something. But it doesn't say she knew that the serpent was a serpent. And sometimes we are living with snakes that we don't even know are snakes. We think it's Uncle Bob. You see? We think it's so-and-so. But these people be just as racist as hell. Now I'm gonna move on real quickly to this other piece. As you know, the Mississippi, no democracy for the black voters of Jackson, Mississippi. In Tennessee, they expelled Justin Jones and Justin Pearson. Threw those brothers out. They had to be reinstated by a committee in their own districts, and now they have to run again and spend thousands of dollars in another special election. So what I'm telling you is that your vote and the vote of black people can be nullified at the drop of the hat, because as Donald Trump told you in the first debate, the system is rigged. He told you that. He said the system is rigged, and he was right about that. It is rigged. Okay? It is rigged. I don't necessarily know that Donald Trump was the lesser of two evils. I know he was an evil racist, but I also believe that Joe Biden is also an evil racist. It's just that we vote for one evil racist and didn't vote for the other one. But they're both, to me, evil racists. Now, here's the thing I wanted to lay out here. It's getting to the point where as you grow in population and you are able to literally vote in people, choose your judges, choose the kind of policing you want, then they come in. And do you know there was a bill put before the legislature? The state of Mississippi refused to do anything with the water situation. So the Biden administration sent money to fix the water. And do you know that the Mississippi State Legislature has put a bill forth that they can take control of the money that was sent for them for the water and dispose of it the way they see fit? After they couldn't get the money, they got the money from an outside source. After serious pressure on Biden, because Biden wasn't going to do anything until you put pressure on his behind. Under pressure, he sent $100 or $200 million so they could get their water together, clean their water up, get it flowing, get it rolling, and then the Mississippi legislature comes in and takes the money that they refused to give in the first place. Understand that they're going to change the rules. No matter what you do, they're going to flip it on you. The minute you get to a certain level, they're going to raise the bar on you. Every time. It's a game we've been playing with these people for too long. All right? Just wanted to lay that out there. Now, that brings me to another point I wanted to mention. And I want you to bear with me because we gotta deal with it. We're coming into an election season. The presidential election is going to happen in 2024. The Democrats absolutely need the black vote or they're toast. So they're going to come with all kind of things to get you in line with them. Okay? And what you have to understand is that you have been pimped and used by the Democratic Party, living on the Democratic Party presentation all this time, and what have you got to show for it? Not a doggone thing. Go ahead and call you on there with the community defender.
Yeah, Brother Darrell, you're so right. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome, sir. How about yourself?
Fantastic. And I'm enjoying the program, and I just want to tell these young kids that's watching, man, we just need to learn, man. We need to learn, listen, and learn. Perfect example of what you're talking about the racism is when the ladies won the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the all black ladies team won that national championship against all white ladies team, and Jill Biden wanted to invite the white team that lost to the White House.
And look, and if you have a wife, understand this, you can tell a lot about a man by his wife. You understand? And a lot of time, if you want to know if a man has an issue with you, when you see that man with his wife, the wife is never able to hide how she really feels. The wife is going to be frowned up. That's how you know that the man has a problem with you. Even if he's smiling in your face, you look at the wife is going to tell it every time. The wife is going to reflect the true spirit of the man that she's with. And so when Jill Biden says, I'm going to talk to Joe and we're going to have to invite both, what you mean is we cannot leave out the white even when they lose. We got to include them. And that was an example right there of white supremacy. And I'm glad that our sister Angel Reese made the statements that she made and even said we don't even have to go to the White House. We can go see the Obamas.
Oh, yeah.
Think about that. That was major right there. That was a wonderful example of standing on your principles. And she said, y'all say I'm too hood. I'm from Baltimore. I don't fit the narrative. Yeah, she came all the way out. I'm like, now that's what I'm talking about. And looking at that black woman like that, as a young black woman, I was thinking to myself, now as young men, that's what we could actually look at that sister.
Oh yeah.
And say, you know what, I can extract from that particular circumstance a model to a certain degree for leadership, because she was strong. The truth was on her side. She stood on the truth. She said when they do it, because she was like doing this, and when the white girl did it, it was she totally. And Keith Olbermann, I believe he's a Jewish dude, came out against her.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah. A lot of them did.
Keith and was cursing, effing. I mean, why would you be so enraged at a confident black young woman? Why would that enrage you so much? It's because they don't want you with confidence. They want you lowering your head saying, yes, sir, boss. I do thank you for the quarter you gave me, boss. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I sure do appreciate this national title. Thank you so much. Only in America. That's what they want you to say.
Oh yeah, these young people, like I said before, they gotta listen to with shows like this and with what you have to say.
I love the sister, me. I love the sister, and with her mind, the children. If she keeps a black mind, the children that she can produce for her womb, that will be warriors for our people. See, whenever you find a woman that is confident in herself, see, it's one thing to be black in America. It's another thing to be black and you want to be black. You see? And what helps me is that I had a black mother that did not want to be white. My mama wanted to be what she was. My daddy wanted to be what he was. My daddy didn't have a problem with his big lips and his nappy hair. He didn't have a problem with his African features. You understand? So they raised me, and now I'm black, and I want to be black. I don't want hazel eyes. I don't want blue eyes. I don't want blonde hair. I want to be who I am. I love me. You see what I'm saying? Because Almighty God Allah created me to look this way. I'm an original man. That's why my skin is dark, because I'm the original man of the earth. And I don't need to compromise or apologize for who and what I am, even in white racist America. That's just.
I'm gonna hang up now. I'm gonna continue to hear what you have to say. And like I said before, man, always, like I said, I appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate the show. Y'all keep up the good work, bro.
Yes, sir. We're gonna keep trying to make conscious content. Now, I wanted to deal with this Democratic agenda, because one of my frat brothers, who is a very brilliant journalist, no doubt about it. Roland Martin has a journalistic resume, a journalistic pedigree that is second to none. And I watch him every week. So what I'm about to say, he's somebody that I watch and I look at his panels and I listen to the discussions, because they're intelligent discussions, even when I disagree. With respect to how he has rolled this week on his Unfiltered platform, which is a very good and important platform, him trying to demean people, Simple Simons, calling people stupid, calling them dumbasses, all this kind of stuff, that is not good, because you're trying to beat everybody in line to get them on the Democratic plantation. And even though you can be independent, you're now acting like an overseer, because you're cracking the whip on black voters, saying, you simple, get on into the Democrats. And when it came to the medical decision that Joe Biden was trying to get everybody to make, you were what? Cracking the whip. They're stuck on stupid. Get the back. So then you become a tool for somebody else. Because the bottom line of it is, you got all these conservative judges, and you gotta, really, man. So now it's the fear of conservative judges. So all of these people, our sister from Louisiana, Donna Brazile, everybody is cracking the whip on black folks to get them in line and to make sure that they're in line with what? The Democratic plantation. But make this make sense. How do you help black folks? By making us to continue to vote for a party controlled by white folks. How do you help black folks? By voting for a party controlled by white folks and racist white folks at that. How do you know they're racist? Okay, let's look at the Joe Biden administration. Joe Biden is not, his administration is not prosecuting Brett Favre, who took $70 million of other people's money. But he is prosecuting Marilyn Mosby, who took a few $100,000 of her own money. Make that make sense to me. Black woman, white man. White man, $70 million. Black woman, $200,000. Black woman, $200,000 charges. White man, $70 million, no charges. You make that make sense. That's just like what Donald Trump would do. Just like what Donald Trump would do. You got two old white men. Merrick Garland is an old white man, and they have a certain perspective. They grew up in a certain time. They've been privileged all their life. And because Marilyn Mosby dared to charge white and black officers with homicides, because she dared to say, oh, y'all framed this person, I'm going to let them out of jail. Oh, the prosecution withheld evidence which would have exonerated him. I'm going to let him out of jail. Because she dared to reverse the evil that had preceded her coming into that office, and some black folks got out of jail, the system just jumped on her. You understand? And now she's having to spend money on legal fees, and Brett Favre is over here threatening to sue anybody that mentions it. Okay, he's threatening to sue people. I think he threatened Dr. Umar Johnson and a few others who were bringing it up. Maybe Shannon Sharp. He sent letters out because he doesn't even want anybody talking about it, because he doesn't want this whole agenda or I guess the steam to start rolling in terms of an indictment of him. But he absolutely needs to be indicted. If what I read in the article is true, him and a few other people need to be indicted, and Marilyn Mosby in Baltimore needs to be what? Let go. And it's interesting that Marilyn Mosby is in Baltimore trying to stand up for herself, and Angel Reese is from Baltimore, who stood up for herself after they won the championship. And of course she was doing this gesture here with her ring finger. So basically they're trying to label you if you say that the Democrats, that you haven't gotten anything from the Democrats. And do y'all remember how bad they jumped all over Ice Cube? Now keep in mind, Biden has been in there for all this time, and you hadn't gotten anything except black elected officials being indicted for helping black folks. That's all you've gotten from Joe Biden, and some lip service. Okay, everything else you've had to pressure him because he really didn't want to do it. Everything that you asked Joe Biden to do, he has been working his whole life on when it comes to keeping black folks in jail. And he's been trying to do that all his life. When it comes to not letting people get out of debt with student loans, he's the one that wrote the law that allowed for you not to be able to discharge student loans in bankruptcy. Now you're asking him to discharge student loans, and he's working on keeping you in jail, keeping you in debt, keeping you oppressed all his life. Now you're asking the man to reverse the 50 years of his work, to reverse it now. And you think he's really going to do it. He believed in what he did. And that's why I tell y'all, do not put your eggs in the Democratic Party basket. None of these people who are on TV now urging you to vote Democrat are urging black people to unify. They're not urging you to buy from black businesses, which is going to create much more jobs than Biden can. Do you know we can create more jobs by spending money with each other instead of Gucci, instead of Louis Vuitton, Versace, and Coach, and Prada, and all these other white designer names? And the only reason that we are so into their designer names is because our name was stolen. And that's why I tell people, my name, I'm Darrell Muhammad. Darrell Muhammad is on my license. Darrell Muhammad is on my Social Security card. I work in and move around in the name of Darrell Muhammad. It has legally been changed. My name is Muhammad. I do not care about a white man named Gucci or a white man named Louis Vuitton. I could care less about having their name on me and my black self. You understand? That lets you know we have what? An identity crisis. If we were to work on the unity of ourselves, we could force either party. You can't tell me that 50 million people unified who say, no, it ain't going down, that we can make either party do what the hell we want them to do. The Republicans could be in, unified, we could, and understand this, no matter who's in office, Israel's going to get their money. And everybody's going to say, we stand with Israel. It's only a few million of these Jews. If 50 million of us stand together in ranks and deal with the Uncle Tom's fourth, deal with them like they need to be dealt with, then there's nobody that can stop our rise but us. It's our thinking. So we think that if we go in there one day and pull the lever for a white Democrat or a black Democrat whose campaign is funded by white folks, understand, you can see every elected official, you can go and see who donated to their campaign. Every judge, you can go online and it's a matter of record. They have to tell you who donated to their campaign. Make a list of them. You can go and see. It will shock you. Many of the people who you think are for you, look at who funded them. 90% white folks and white groups that funded them. You understand me? I'm talking about our own elected officials' campaigns are not paid for by black people. As one man said to me years ago, he said, Brother Darrell, black folks do not pay for political campaigns. Therefore, they cannot dictate the legislation because they're not the ones paying for the campaign. This was a black elected official who frankly just told me that straight up. That's how it's going down. I know you talking all that black stuff, Brother Darrell, be down with your people, but he was letting me know, black folk didn't pay for this. White folk did. Therefore, I'm going to vote in my best interest. He let me know straight up. You understand? Because when I talk to my black politicians, I'm pressing them on black issues. He let me know y'all ain't paying for nothing. You understand? So you got to understand that. And for us to jump all over Ice Cube for talking to a Republican, and let me tell you, to me, it's really bad to talk to Joe Biden, to talk to the man that wrote the crime bill. If you can talk to Joe Biden, Ice Cube can talk to somebody too. And Ice Cube was only saying, let's leverage our vote to get something for our vote so that no matter who is elected, we will be able to get something for our vote if we stand together and give them an agenda. Not ask them what the black agenda is, but give them an agenda. And that's what the Jewish community does. That's what the oil industry does. They write a bill and send it to the Senate and say, I want you to pass this. They give them the agenda. But we wait on them to decide what they're going to do for us instead of getting together ourselves. Don't get on that Democrat plantation, nor the Republican plantation. You better get with one another and let's decide what we want and then go to work for it and work in that direction. Our unity is the only thing that's going to solve this, not the vote. Only our unity. Only working together and loving one another is going to get us out of being at the bottom. So may God bless each and every one of you. I'm your brother. I'm here because I love black folks unapologetically, and we will be back soon with another installment. And again, Ramadan Mubarak to all of those who are fasting in this blessed month of Ramadan. Assalamu alaikum, and may Allah bless each and